Lylat, and Teeps, and Flora, and me. Rocket.
Boost! Fire!
This has happened before.
Advisor.
Get in or get out. The Nintendo 64, the ultimate 3D evolution transferring from 16 to 64 bits. On September 28, 1996, the N64 was released internationally. Around that time, especially when I was glued to Defenders of the Realm, this system just arrived at my home out of nowhere, and as soon as I saw a demo featuring Mario swinging Bowser by the tail in some catchy rap song, it was an instant favorite as soon as I mastered the controls, and the first 3 games featured were Super Mario 64, Wave Race 64, and Mortal Kombat Trilogy. It has made a technical and nostalgic impact in my life, and it still is a retro classic despite these blocky, murky textures being so dated. Just like the SNES, I'm limiting to 15 entries, and 1 per franchise counting spin-offs. The champion over the PlayStation, Saturn, and Dreamcast shall only be summarized in this series, despite the tech limits on cartridges instead of CDs. But like Fawful's Minion said, 64-bit is the shtick. Beginning the 64-bit repertoire is 1080 Snowboarding, an unlikely choice compared to most consumers, and since I dislike athletics. It was just a random thing that dropped within my own home, and just like with Mortal Kombat for the SNES, a lot of adult friends played the snow out of it. I wasn't too good with the game, and it doesn't handle quite as smoothly as some other racing contenders. But that was where I've learned about one of my personal doppelgangers, as well as never having enough of its wacky soundtrack. Obviously, it was based in Japan, like having names such as Kensuke Kimachi, where the songs are often intelligible, but I never cared. I always got absorbed with the aesthetics, especially with the exoticness of Dragon Cave, or the Golden Forest, or how scary Deadly Falls is, which weren't too bad for 64 bits. I think they still hold up. Can you imagine racing an avalanche in the ladder? Be that as it may, and since I'm not too good at the game, nor as an athlete, I'd rather stick with the circular sleds and perform the same speedy stunts as Clark W. Griswold. F-Zero X isn't entirely one of my favorite installments, that going to its successor, but this 64-bit showdown still does leave a mark. I'd still give it the benefit of the doubt, despite having some graphical limitations, as it provided us up to 30 racers, which was a stark increase from the OG's 4, as well as adding up to 30 tracks, 5 new cups including Jack, Queen, King, Joker, and the random X Cup, and even a heavy metal comic book vibe. The soundtrack packs a lot of headbangers. Moreover, the new abilities in attacking other racers, introducing the side and spin attacks, as well as deathmatch. So too with adjusting your acceleration, making each machine unique with their stats and pilots, and a little bit of customization. Why the Switch Online never included the expansion pack, I'll never know. Hell, Versus Mode has also been established contrary to the OG, while still maintaining its accelerating 60 frames per second that was invented before the PS2 mastered it. No wonder Customar and Coop love it so damned much. Funny thing, I never had access to it. Never at my home, not from my parents' mom and pop shops, and never from a former friend. I actually was able to find out about after the GXGP Legend era. Thus, I never knew what in the Netherrealm what the horrific accident was, as mentioned in GX, nor the 7-year suspension, hence this game, as well as the birth of Blood Falcon, which led up to the events of GX a year after. While it did sell low in the competition of other racing contenders, it's still a mega hit with all their advancements and tech achievements, despite graphic limitations. And it's still cohesive in my F-Zero timeline, totally rad with its retro extremity at its finest, and perfect to close the 90s before the new millennium. It was hard just thinking of 15 contenders for the N64, especially limiting to just one per franchise. Since I never had much experience with Mario Party, Turok, or Conquer, I just resorted to Hey You Pikachu, and it certainly works much differently than the usual formula. Of course, the player is introduced to the mascot of the series, with the inclusion done by Professor Oak as a way for humans to connect with Pokemon, excluding battle capabilities. Instead, unlike many installments in the series, we actually get to communicate with the adorable rodent. It was the only game of its kind utilizing the mini-mic, consisting the yellow fuzzball, in which you speak into, which forms a bubble and pops onto Pikachu himself. We get to spend some time with the rowdy rodent, though I wouldn't say quality time. We do other things we hardly do in the core games, such as fishing with Pikachu, going on a picnic, meeting his friends, babysitting some Caterpie after acting like a food burglar, cooking that goes awry, and having him as a roommate. It is actually heartbreaking to have him leave you later on. That is if you're lucky. However, it's often frustrating, as Pikachu tends to ignore your commands as the game goes on, even though it's at first smooth sailing, like a fortissimo decimating to a mezzo piano, and it'd be extremely difficult if the mic decides to stop working, which isn't long at all. Despite those stressors, it was just sheer cuteness and immersity into the world of Pokemon, and the soundtrack is just as endearing. It has its charm, but if I were to find a more effective way to play with Pikachu, well, stay tuned for later. This was just one out of a few new games I'd encountered in my dad's 4th mom and pop shop. I say my dad's since it was after my late mom passed 1 year before the new millennium, which was when I encountered this slugfest. This happened to be my second Clayfighter game, as I was unable to access its predecessor and tournament edition. I knew the shtick was gonna be good, and it was confirmed when I actually saw Earthworm Jim! By the Elder Gods, it was fantastic to see him back! Very ideal interplay, especially since it's a well-known parody of fighting games. Street Fighter and Killer Instinct in particular like sharing its 3-level super combos, the combo system, and super attacks. And it's also packed up to 26 arenas and up to 12 combatants, with 4 more in Sculptor's Cut. Nevertheless, the Blob, Ichabod, Taffy, and Earthworm Jim remained as my mains back then, excepting the Booger Man or T-Hoppy as consumers suggested. It's yay and nay with the roster, but thankfully Helga's no longer around. I would usually stick with the OG with its charm and more brighter graphics, but I was still glad I had the chance to add this to my life, and here. Especially since this was pretty much Interplay's last hurrah. If you would have seen my past Elemental lists, chances are you'd see footage from Kirby's most prestigious adventure next to Return to Dreamland and Superstar. Well, here you are. Kirby and the Crystal Shards has been a phenomenal breakthrough in the series, and the N64 itself. No doubt, since the graphics are precisely what consumers wanted. It has several memorable characters, including Ribbon and Adeline, as well as with the assistance from Diddy and Waddle Dee for once. It's about as epic for villains to help out since Mario RPG. It isn't always that easy, though, as when Kirby collects the shattered crystal shards caused by the Ripple Star invasion by dark matter, and becomes possessed accepting the main duo. Up to 100 shards are collected before confronting the new menace. Even when before Black Doom existed, and for once in an entire galaxy featuring the usual Pop Star, Ripple, Aqua, Neo, Rock, Shiver, and Dark. Of course, the main selling point is indeed Kirby's power combos intermixing 2 copy abilities. Even utilizing opposing elements such as fire with rock, ice with water, lightning with water, doubling the same ability for more force, the list goes on. Even making his former enemies useful like with Diddy's hammer or Waddle's minecart. Too bad it still shares the 2D style despite being in 3D. The soundtrack's weak, but it's still fun nonetheless, especially when competing in a few minigames in multiplayer. It took me eons to find this gold mine. I'm so glad I've included this on my bucket list. I mean, sure, the final boss involving the bloody eye was a tad disturbing, especially for a Kirby game, but that never deterred me. I've seen worse. Make sure you get the true ending since the game tends to deceive you with a falser one. This might as well be another favorite aside from Superstar and Superstar Ultra. I love the dazzling style, the new and old characters are memorable staples, and the new power combos are just the cream of the crop, aside from the crippling lightning. I'd highly recommend this to every Kirby and N64 consumer, even if it's their first. But since I encountered it very late, it's hardly able to take the top 10. If there's any license-based game I'd highly commend for the 64-bit era, it's definitely Rugrats Scavenger Hunt. Ever since I picked up the game's commercial, I couldn't wait to play it. I was a Rugrats superfan back in the day, and it was my utmost favorite, surpassing other Nicktoons including Doug and the Angry Beavers. I was thrilled to play my first and only Rugrats game. And even though it has graphics that are heavily dated, that never bothered me. Of course, just like THQ's Jungle Games, it is set with mini-games, up to 3 board games in fact. One inspired by the Rugrats movie and a parody of Indiana Jones, the other inspired by pirate treasure hunting, and a crazy candy game featuring Reptar. It was just a reunion listening to the iconic voice actors and characters again. I didn't care it had lesser quality than Search for Reptar, which I wished I had access to. It may not be as immersive or flexible, and has more restrictions and lag, but being on an N64 cartridge, albeit repetitive, it was just a simple, fun, nostalgic pot of gold nonetheless. Back in Christmas of '97, which was just the pivotal year of my childhood, I'd managed to own instead of renting my own copy. Coincidentally, I was playing the original Donkey Kong Country when a commercial was playing on a TV in an adjacent room, and I became anxious to have it. It's no question it's incredibly nostalgic for Fawful's Minion. This certainly made up the difference, as I wasn't able to own the Dante's Peak nor Mortal Kombat Annihilation's VHS tapes yet. Anyway, it's definitely the successor to Mario Kart, packed with 10 playable characters, around 20 tracks with some amazing environments, an incredible soundtrack, likable characters, encasing a racing game's own adventure mode, and we don't have to use just the usual go-karts anymore. This was definitely a breakthrough. And there are other racing games making stupid rip-offs of their original ideas. Still, I liked a lot of the characters, and it was a good thing Diddy was the star. I wouldn't mind if it was Timber. He's still one of my mains next to Diddy and Tip Top. Just like another contender before Marvel squandered it, this was planned as the Rareware Multiverse game. I wish they'd stayed that way and highlight more of its characters, like they did with Banjo and that drunken squirrel. I hate him! It's mostly low as it's proven to be tricky, whether it be mastering the secret boost technique to surpass Wizpig, the silver coin challenges, or obtaining pieces of those secret amulets. Regardless, this really got me intrigued when I was 10, that I've made a squad consisting of each character, including my Kremling OCs, to assist the Thundercats, even their areas as a part of Third Earth itself. DKR was great, if only the DS remake never existed, and I wish they would have kept the idea with racing animal buddies. Freaking blackmailers. With these mishaps, it was barely able to pass onto the top 10. What do you get when you cross Humphrey Bear with Woody Woodpecker and battle the Wicked Witch of the West? Banjo-Kazooie. Ever since I'd heard an awesome advertisement on Toonami back in '98, I just had to have that dynamic duo. I think it was around the year after, around the same time I had a VHS tape promoting it. Banjo and Kazooie are just opposites attract. Banjo's sis Tooie gets captured by Gruntilda, whose desire is to rejuvenate. Kinda like the evil queen, or even Mesrabel I'd mentioned previously. With the saucy Kazooie convincing the lazy Banjo, they embark on an epic adventure. Bottles is their mentor, teaching the opposing pair new and amazing techniques, including flight, the famous Burgle Bomb, and the egg shots. Kazooie always has the better moves, especially Mumbo with his tribal customs and handy transformations despite the mid-range. Even the epic petites, the Jinjos, as well. Gruntilda is indeed the inspiration of the Wicked Witch, thus Gruntilda revealing her filthy habits. I love the main colorful characters, for the most part, excepting some blands in the creepy Jaws ripoff. And the biggest kicks are usually them, as well as the highly detailed environments. A lot of them were contenders to most of my environmental levels. You'll see. Mario 64 was indeed the template of quality 3D platforming, but Banjo-Kazooie just took the bait and home ran with it. And the two-man army were so impactful, I can relate to each in many ways. So much so that even they made some brief appearances in my Diddy Kong Racing squad, which was contrary to Banjo's looks and outlook in DKR. If only Rare would have done the same with other racers. Woody Humphrey and Alfalba should be proud of them carrying on their legendary legacies, although the best functionalities be from Microsoft. No wonder they finally made it into Smash Bros. Ultimate and pwned the Duck Hunt duo. May they soar high with the more promising sequel in the works. Having a pop-up storybook setting and designed for toddlers isn't a shabby idea. This was just the preamble for the next generation of Yoshis, making them talk instead of repeating the usual pumps. It even made them a lot more nimbler and more flexible. Sure, the ground pound, flutter jumps, and egg throws were introduced in Yoshi's Island, but they definitely made a difference as they were a lot less clunky and recover easier, and a lot less stressful while swimming around, as long as you don't have that eel on your six. This alone made my love for Yoshi hit the stratosphere, even with baby Bowser and the Toadies, to the point on making them sort of like defenders of Earthrealm. I was a hyper-fixated tween back then, so much so that I was too sensitive with fear factors, such as the bees who only make you freeze, the lava ghost, sometimes the black shy guys, and not the bright blarg. Even the big blurp gave me a chill down my spine. So too that loud noise when your happy meter's about to run out. Way to treat the sound sensitive! Ugh. I'm glad those triggers don't bother me as much as they used to, especially when playing on a PC. I still have some fun with this title and the new Yoshis, though. Be wary on what your players are with this installment, and have it on low volume when you're in danger's door. It was a nice find with the cartridge only at my parents' second mom-and-pop shop. Mario Kart 64 barely takes the top 5. Come on, if you owned an N64, this was a must-have. It did give me some anxiety, though. When I first encountered this, it wasn't played for keeps. It actually started as a rental for about a week. I had so much separation anxiety, and I began to loathe these stores and products, especially with Blockbuster.
Hate. Double hate.
Loathe entirely.
Aside from Mario Bros. 2, this game made me like Toad a hell of a lot. I don't give a damn about those insensitive haters. Toad, Luigi, and the tanks like Bowser and Wario were my mains. Too bad that they never included Kamek nor Koopa Troopa like they should have, I wish. The Percy Peach was certainly a killjoy though. So too with the mysterious stressful ranks in Yoshi Valley. Even when the music didn't sound right on mono or stereo sometimes. And the sounds can be quieted after falling into the water. And being in 4th was just the gut puncher. But I still loved its many circuits, even having 4 tracks per cup, which made it smoother than 5. I loved investigating the Tunnel of Calamari Desert, the Mario 64 section in Royal Raceway. Rainbow Road was a lot more forgiving. Wario Stadium and Toad Turnpike were instant faves. And I loved the improvements featured in Battle Mode. It can be like a 4-player free-for-all, which seemed to be the best selling point, aside from audio dialogue. Although it wasn't long when I've dropped out after Super Circuit, like a kid suddenly seeing a toy that's no longer engaging and moved on to other newer toys. It's weird how my dad saw the rear of Wario similar to Jesus, despite being non-religious. But his baby cries while being shrunk by lightning? I can't stop laughing! Just like with Lancer and his failures. I will always consider this to be my all-time favorite installment in the Go-Kart lineup, when wokeness and corporate greed were just non-existent. You looking for a fantastic reboot? Well, look no further than with Starfox 64. Contrary to many consumers, this wasn't my first Starfox game. That honor goes to the SNES original. It's definitely one of the all-time best and iconic games the N64 offers, as well as for the entire Starfox series. We all know the meat and potatoes, but it's just the perfect example of a reboot done right, expanding on the lore, and making it an outstanding round 2 against Andross. On top of that, there were more war zones to explore. There was audio dialogue with a boatload of quotes, including,
"Never give up! Trust your instincts! Do a barrel roll!"
I've been waiting for you, Starfox. If I go down, I'm taking you with me!
Yeesh! No wonder they took inspiration from Star Wars and Independence Day, and the Katina mission is my absolute favorite. Even Solar and Macbeth. Not much with the hard stages, including Area 6. The R-Wings became more flexible with advanced maneuvers, the soundtrack is packed with a crapload of bangers, the team doesn't always operate in Corneria anymore, and each character's hysterical or fascinating. Except Pigma and Falco. Slippy's not too bad. Plus it consists of more replayability on getting medals, having a battle mode, and piloting the Landmaster and Blue Marine instead of just the R-Wing. Even making that one game handy when bundled with the Rumble Pack. Crazy! And it makes the Lylat system light up like a Christmas tree. It's not without its flaws, such as those said killjoys, wing damage, spiking difficulty in which I needed a guide on a constant basis, Andross was just as scary as its predecessor, and the 3DS version's more like a wet blanket. Still, my mind went off the rails as a 10-year-old, especially when using Retricia or the Fantron family, or even Tails, Stinky the Skunk, or the Angry Beavers at times. And of course, it skyrocketed my fondness with foxes. Heck to the yeah, it's definitely hyperfixation. Especially for a kitty autistic who used to say gibberish in a microtape recorder. I consider it to be second place in my favorite Starfox games with the OG and Adventures. I never minded we didn't have Starfox 2 available, and I found Starwolf to be the iconic team, or Fortuna the way it was as a different region of the planet. Although it should be for intermediates as unrelenting as it is. Starting as a blank cartridge with a sticker on it, it was definitely worth for keeps for my parents' second mom and pop shop.
I just wanna fly.
I was gonna pick both 1 and 2, but I guess the Johto version is more superior. I happen to be a Gen 2er after all, and I wear that badge with honor. Pokemon Stadium 2 was a step up from the original. Like Logan said in his Generations list, it was double the spearmint, double the fun. Since it's Gen 2, they doubled on everything. You get twice as many gym leader towers, you got better mini-games, the roster has been expanded to include both Kanto and Johto, even when unlocking their corresponding legendaries. And of course, you can play your Game Boy games in the tower featuring those said generations, whereas the original Stadium can't with Gold, Silver, or Crystal. And these games alone greatly improve the quality. Heck, I always use the graphics of the Pokemon for my crossovers with Reboot and another N64 contender. Sure, Stadium 1 got me absorbed with the 3D polygons, the exciting announcer and moves, and especially the tech advancements on their cries. But goddamn! Stadium 2 enhanced and doubled on everything. Not to mention, it's the final hurrah of the Stadium series. Coliseum and Battle Royale never counts. I always wished for a trilogy or more. Just make sure you remove the gimmicky region evolutions while keeping the other functions intact. Maybe even do a sub-menu like an MK11 with the regional versions like Alola or Galar. With all those tech limitations even on a tiny cartridge, it can be done! Especially since you've remade the core Gen 2, 3, and 4 games. Focus on that, Game Freak, since your hyper-focused formulaic ways each year are getting out of style. Of course! Mario 64, the title game bundled with the N64, takes the bronze medal and for many good reasons. There are several factors that have been said numerous times. Mario is finally in 3 dimensions, and he can walk, run, and jump, even climb in every direction. He can do flips, breakdancing. He can punch and grab instead of just jumping onto his enemies, even performing the signature ground pound to avoid fall damage. He can now wall jump, which was something Mega Man X introduced. And he can swim and also collect caps with interesting abilities like metal, invisibility, and flight that needs to work out the weight. The soundtrack's addictive and the album itself are flawless. Toad is helpful like he was in Mario Bros. 2, Bowser's more badass than ever, and you collect stars and colored coins instead of just reaching the goal, despite some fear factors and occasional glitches. Aside from some of its setbacks, since it was a strict timed release, I still think it should be considered as a consumer's first N64 game, even though I'd seen the bugs fixed later on. This was just one of the 3 random games I'd picked up ever since I'd encountered the system, and it does take a little while to get used to its unique foreign gameplay or know where to go. I never had a guide for it neither. It took me forever to overcome the frustrating endless staircase, always anticipating something awaiting me. I was never scared of it, just irritated along with the butterfly bombs and the carnivorous piranha. Still, the fun factor might have been hindered for these creepy, annoying reasons, but that, along with Defenders of the Realm, were the most impactful positive things in '96. And that was only just the beginning. Hell to the yes! The silver trophy goes to the OG heavy hitter. Ever since I heard the infamous conflicting commercial, as well as some contest on Cartoon Network, I was beyond anxious getting my hands on it. I knew about 80% of the characters, and this was my first and only multiverse media I was absorbed into. I'm talking like pure hyperfixation here, and this was just before the new millennium. But by Christmas of '99, and just a couple days after I saw Mewtwo Strikes Back in a small theater at a mall, it was the free-for-all I've always wanted. It even made me a compelling fan of franchises I wasn't into at the time, such as Link, Samus, Falcon, and Kirby. It certainly was the fighting game that knocked others off the stage, even Mortal Kombat. With its high-octane action, customization, user-friendliness, fun and hazardous stages, and the awesome warriors that hadn't been bastardized by greed nor third parties yet. It was difficult to place this classic, and it impacted me so much that I even made Samus and the Pokemon as vital parts in my reboot multi-universe. The other elements came much later. That and Pokemon helped me cope a lot with the losses I'd endured at that time, including the loss of my late mom, and even separation anxieties involving Goku and Bob. It and Melee were definitely the home runners of the Smash Bros. Series, and I'd recommend it to every N64 consumer along with Mario 64. If only they'd bring back the fighting polygon team, and even use that puppet style. Nevertheless, it was just the perfect way to relieve the tension and beat the living shtick out of your enemies. Ever since Smash Bros., my world hasn't ever been the same, and I endear it! Alright, we got into 14 of the 64-bit titles. But before we get into first place, let's have the honorable and dishonorable mentions play. Obvious choice for number 1. That's right. My most favorable Zelda game and N64 game is Ocarina of Time. And for a quarter of a century, nothing has ever scratched the inspirational itch like it did. I at first wasn't crazy about the Juggernaut at all, but ever since I've played the original Smash Bros., I became curious with Link. It all started on his profile, and the latest entry back then was Ocarina of Time. I became a bit anxious on owning a copy, especially since I was starting the Pokemon and Smash Bros. Phase. I was able to finally meet, greet, and beat it since 2019, and those save files and even the start was just confusing with no guide. Even still, I was immersed into the realm of Hyrule. Being it was the first ever 3D Zelda game, it was truly a magnum opus. There were just many things never done in a Zelda game before. Fishing, horse riding, playing an ocarina which inspired many players, an in-depth look at Ganondorf, Link's background, and the sages which were proven awesome for once. The soundtrack, flawless. The bosses, intense. The puzzles seemed fair, even the water temple. The environment, sublime. Even the models by N64 standards. The characters... 7 out of 10. Perfection's an illusion, and if it weren't for my autistic mind hatching ideas for both that and Pokemon, I probably would have turned away. Link is the hero of time, especially as an adult, I couldn't stop obsessing over until around 2002. I was starting puberty, by the way. Yet still, I felt the relationship with Zelda was kind of forced, even the ending. And every pairing was just awkward. Malon was a decent choice. So by then, I created my Pokemon trainer OC from Johto, who was also named Zelda from an old RP with a former friend. Her name changed to Zelda II to make up the difference, and she and her extensive Pokemon roster were vital to his success. I came up with several random ideas, even a creepypasta, and a few one-shots cohering both ends, carrying on to Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. Zelda and Pokemon fit exponentially. I always wished for an actual crossover than references. I'm the Ekron writer, and ever since I was a teen, Ocarina of Time was my all-time favorite, even after Majora's Mask spat me out. It still remained timeless.